Welcome back to the studio. We are continuing our project on the road quilt kit. We had the original sample that I've been pinning my blocks onto, and you can see that we have the 3 blocks left to go. We are working on block number 8. One thing I will say, there was a little bit of lack of information on the paper pattern. On the paper pattern, it had the cutting guide for all of the pieces, and all of the pieces were on the cutting guide. But in the listing on the left hand side, block number 8 doesn't appear, even though we did cut the shape for block number 8. So you do have the piece cut for it. It's just not a part of this little list here. So all is well in the kingdom. And what I'm going to do is bring the camera in so you can see the up close of the little love bug as we assemble it. And when I bring the camera in, I'll go ahead and unwrap the package. You see we have our square cut 8.5 by 8.5, just as the package describes on the front cover. And I'm going to go ahead and unpackage my pieces. Inside we always have our color cover sheet, which I like to use to help make sure I have the placement correct. We have our paper pattern and our instruction sheet. I always put my instruction sheet aside since I've read it, and they're always duplicates, and that's where I pile my scrap pieces of paper from the back. I unfold my pattern, and then I always give my pattern a little press with the dry iron, and that just helps me get all of the creases out, so those creases aren't translated into the positioning of my applique shapes. Next thing I can do here is just plop out all of my shapes, and you have to be careful because sometimes you'll get a little static cling and they'll stick to the inside of the packaging. These were packed by Vicky, which seems to be almost always the case. And I'm just going to go ahead and, as I find these items, just start peeling the paper backing off and placing them right into place. If you have a question, you can always refer to the color cover guide, and that will help you determine where each of the pieces goes. You can see just how easily that paper backing peels off of the pressing sheet, of the applique shape rather. If you ever have a problem getting the paper off, you can always use a sharp pen to score the back of the paper, and then when you bend in that location, it gives something to ease up off of the backing with. So that's just a little tip to help you get things peeled off if you need to. These are my little rear view mirrors. We need one both on the left and the right, especially if you're like pulling out into traffic or parallel parking. It's almost like a big smiley face, isn't it? Now the circles, you'll see there are 3 green circles, 2 of one size and 1 of another. The 2 equal size are your headlamps. I have my headlamps a little further to the edge because I like it with the curve. The original pattern shows them directly over the tires, but I'm going to leave mine the way they are. I kind of like that. Don't tell my boss. So now we have our last few little components here. You can see this is a very easy process. It's just peel, place, and press. And we get all of our shapes. After I get this last little flower center on, I'll go ahead and remove the paper pattern from underneath. And I can put aside my color cover sheet. And I'm going to get out my Teflon pressing sheet, and we'll get this one pressed and ready for the board here. You see I have all of my pieces in place. Keep in mind they're not fused yet. They're just tacky from the Steam of Seam 2. They're repositionable up until the point that we fuse them. But now that I'm ready to fuse it, I'm going to go ahead and spritz my block with my spray bottle. And I'm doing this because I don't keep water in my iron. I use a dry iron, and that way my iron never leaks. So I'm going to make quick work of this pressing. Not that you can speed up how much time it takes to iron, because the iron does have to permeate through all of the various layers. But I'm not going to talk you through all of the steps of this because we've repeated it so many times. You just have to let the heat permeate through all of the different layers, and once it's fused properly at this point, then you know that it's permanent, whether you top stitch it or not. My Teflon pressing sheet keeps my iron sole plate clean. It protects the fabric from getting scorched. It protects the edges of the applique to make sure they don't get scrunched up if I push the iron side to side. And we're going to go ahead and finish fusing this, and I'll show you what my block looks like. Once I have the block completely finished fusing from one side, I always like to flip it over and remist right where the applique shapes would be and fuse it again from the back, because I really want to make sure that the heat has been able to not only permeate through but activate that fusible material on all of the different layers. So I always fuse it from the front and the back whenever possible. And with a block like that, it's very easy to do this. And just like that, we have a little VW bug ready to travel the roads. Where are you going on your vacation? Have you taken a road trip this year? Let us know in your comment section what your vacation plans were. What was your favorite holiday destination in a road trip? And let's see what everyone has to say. Well, we have block number 8 finished. This is a real simple one, but the next two are probably going to be just about as easy. I had to move some stuff out of the way so that you could see where I'm getting to on the quilt. We have 2 more blocks to go, and we'll get to those in the next 2 months. And we hope that you'll be back for those. Then after that, we'll get all of the piecing done, and we can get the dragonfly put back in. Where it goes here, it overlaps 3 blocks. Then we'll get it on the Bernina frame and see what kind of quilting design we come up with. So thanks for stopping by the studio today. Thanks for commenting or thumbs up or liking the video. And we'll see you again next time, right back here, Saturday mornings at 9. First Saturday of the month, I believe. See you then.